What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the video. I am JB, and I'm back with a video dealing with these here locks. Because somebody said I ain't made no content about these locks in a minute. I've been talking too much about these here cigars. But guys, the thing is, with my locks, it really don't be much to update on. But because I did let some time go by, I feel like I do owe you guys some type of update concerning these locks beyond what you see. So with these locks, I'm coming up on 7 years. 7 years. Now, our thing is, I've been keeping track with the years based on my age. So, you know, I know when 10 years hit. That's my goal is to make it 10 years. So I got 3 more years before I hit the 10-year mark. And I decide if I'm going to keep them or I'm going to cut them. If anything, I'll probably just get them retwisted. But that may be happening sooner than you think. The thing is, my wife, guys, have been really trying to encourage me to get these things retwisted. Trying to get somebody who's willing to go through all of this and retwist them and give them a whole new look. But the thing is, that guy's gonna cost more money than what I'm willing to pay. And to do it myself requires a lot more time than I'm willing to give. So at the moment, I bought me a little more time with these here locks. Yes, so these here are semi-freeform. I say semi because they gotta be fair. When I started these locks, I used a crochet hook. You can look at my channel, see some older videos. I used a crochet hook to start them. But ever since then, after about 2 months in, or 2 or 3 months, it was just free forming. Just let them grow out. Now I would separate them from here and there. Now, as far as twisting goes, there was like a lock that I did twist. It's in the midst of this somewhere. Yeah, it's in the midst of this one somewhere that I did twist. It's probably it ended up being combined into this lock now, but I twisted and a lot of my, if you see around here, these here they came off of my naps in the back, the loose hair in the back, like this here. I would twist these when I'm bored and ain't got nothing else to do. I'll twist them up, and so that's pretty much what I do as far as any root maintenance. But other than that, these here guys are just growing. I separate. You see, I got some tuft hair still here, and I be every now and again when I'm bored, I'll twist this up, trying to combine it with this lock and just kind of twist them into each other. And I do that here, but it don't never stay. I do that, and I don't do anything to make it stay. But that's where I'm at with it. You know, my ends. I don't know if it was due to me starting them off with crochet hooks, but a lot of my ends come off. So I don't know how long my hair. Well, a lot of these. It ain't all of my locks that I do that with, but some of these ends. I'll show you one here recently. Yeah. So like this right here. I had to pull this end off, and I ain't have to. I mean, I could have just let it, but I don't like when it just be dangling and it's like a gap in between. And I would crochet them, but when they're thin like that, I just pull them off. I'm not really worried about it. This one here is another example. It was longer, but I just kind of turned it into itself and crocheted them together, so to kind of blunt the tip, and that's what I did with it. This one, just letting it hang. I think eventually it will split around here, and but we'll see. But I'm not trying to do anything to make it do that. But I think it has a lot to do with how I started them, as to why they're like that. Because I don't have any weak points in the midst of the thicker parts of the lock where I was freeforming, if that makes any sense. A lot of the weak parts that I would notice is just at the tips where I crocheted in the beginning. And because I was learning my way, I crochet pretty heavy, so it's possible that I could have did some damage to them back then. And it just comes out eventually because you think about it, your locks are just matted up hair. It's matted hair, and even if you have locks that are broken within, or pieces of hair that's broken within, if it gets matted and it's gonna stay there. And I think eventually, as my hair grows, it pushes those um, dead ones further out, and so therefore they just come on off, or they get real thin and weak at that spot. It kind of shows up more. That's my theory. I'm not an expert. I don't know for sure, but that's my theory and that's what I'm going with. Here's another one back here. So you see that part where it's bent at, that's a weak spot, you know. And this would be during the time where I would still have been crocheting, you know, combining together. So especially with these two coming together, I think because it's flat, they were organic as far as coming together. But that's a weak spot. That's a weak spot. So you know, I can either pull that off now or just let it continue to go. I may eventually just crochet all this together. And you say, well, JB, if you know you had some issues with crocheting before, why would you continue to crochet? Especially when you're talking about combining the ones that are messed up with something that's more stronger. Well, when I first started, I was learning how to crochet my locks together, and I was just kind of just going about it. But I've gotten more disciplined, gotten more better with it. And so the kind of things I would do before, I wouldn't make that mistake now. I'll be more careful with crocheting and do it more effectively. So I'm confident if whatever I crochet now will pretty much stick. So not really worried about that. But yeah, um, see, I'm trying to find some more examples I can show. All right, these are from the back. So this was this lock right here. This piece of this big Congo was my first Congo that started. It was a 5 header. You see the tip's a 5 still. At one point, I blunted this tip. I combined all these together and just blunted the tip. But eventually, I didn't do it real tight. Eventually, it came back off again, and just split, and I just left it that way. Just kind of remind me that this was the first Congo, and it's still here. But you see where my first Congo started when it was this length, and I started letting things combine. And I think this is the last of my locks that show how long my hair was when I first started freeforming and like not retwisting anything. So yeah, I think that's the reason why I left this like that. But you see, it is combined with more from the back, and it's just this flat piece here. So that's what it's combined with. Um, see, is anything else interesting to say about these here? One at the top, kind of, it's a single lock, but kind of by itself. Um, this piece here, I was able to combine with this bigger lock. That was kind of just, it was like a tougher hair that was like this. I just combined it and it stayed like that. And I combined that simply like I would say I was gonna do this other tougher hair just by twisting it into the lock until eventually it stayed and they combined, the roots combined. But yeah, every now and again, this one that keeps getting in my face, sometimes I would braid these ends, you know, but I haven't lately. Same thing with this one. And what I used to when this piece was longer. This is another example of one where it was weak. It started to be weak. And so instead of pulling it off, I just tucked it into itself and crocheted it. So it made it shorter. So I can no longer really braid it with the rest like I used to kind of try to hide that defect. But yeah, so no more braiding with this one. Um, but yeah, it's been times I thought about crocheting all these together so making just one lock, but I left it alone. I feel like I do a lot more damage trying to crochet into the thick parts of the lock, you know, so I kind of want to leave them be. You know, they ain't not hurt nothing. This one, so this one has a story to tell. So this was a tougher hair that didn't combine in this lock here. It didn't grow here. I guess when I used to get edge ups, and then I stopped getting edge ups, and so my edges would grow. So with this one, you see where I started, I twisted. Like here, it was more twisting. I eventually stopped twisting, and you see where it's flat. So stop twisting, just kind of let it grow, and it's still flat here, but you see how that is. So just like, tufts of hair here, just from my edges. So I've recently twisted this, and just kind of just leave it, So that's what kind of what I've been doing, working with that particular lock. And so that's it. I mean, that's this 7 years, 7 years lock. So you see how the length of it is. This right here, this lock here. This one goes down my back. That's the longest one I have, as far as my back goes when I'm walking. That's the one that trails. You know, that's it. That's the big Congo. This is what I use when I do tie up my hair. I tie it up using this lock. And I'll use these two as like a band. So to kind of wrap my hair at the top or whatever the style I decide to do with it. That's what I would tend to do. Keep from using bands. Um, if it looks a little dry and I'm in need of some oil, I still use olive oil. I use olive oil for my hair, and I use tea tree oil every now and again. For washing, I've changed. I stopped using Dr. Bronner's because my scalp was getting dry, and I used to always have a dandruff problem growing up, but Dr. Bronner's didn't help with the dandruff issue. It did get stuff out. I mean, it's great for getting those oils and stuff out your hair, but it is not good for moisturizing your scalp and everything else, and to keep the dandruff away. So I switched to Head and Shoulders. I started with the plain version to see how it do. Then I went into using a tea tree version, whatever the case may be. But it helps with my dandruff. So when I have dry scalp, it helps. And so I went to Head and Shoulders. It works good. I like it. Feels good. I haven't had much problem with extra problem with buildup and everything like that. If you wash your hair, if you rinse it out well, dry it out well, you should be fine. If you don't get it all out, it's gonna stay and it's gonna create buildup. That's what it is. So, yeah. But I'm still a big proponent of Dr. Bronner's. I still think it's a great shampoo to use as far as cleaning and deep cleaning. I did an acid vinegar rinse, not acid. I did an apple cider rinse, apple cider vinegar rinse, about a month and a half ago, and before then it had to be like a year before the last time I did one, and so it was a good cleanse. You kind of want to do it every 6 months if you can. Mine's was like once a year at the rate I've been going. So yeah, so that's kind of where we are with the locks, guys. Wash your hair. I mean, if you're looking for a tip, guys, wash your hair. That's something that I didn't notice that was different about my 6th year in locks than what I did in the previous years, is that I washed my hair less. Now, that doesn't mean I went a long time without washing my hair. It's that I just didn't do it on a every week basis. I used to do it once a week. I would wash my hair once a week. But I went from once a week to then every 2 weeks to then I went to like once a month. And I think here in this last 6th year, I was washing my hair probably once every 2 months. And that's kind of when I would wash my hair, or when it's needed. If I did something that day, like if I cut grass, or I like to smoke cigars, so if I did smoke a cigar or whatever, I would try to wash my hair, because you want to get the smoke smell out and everything else. And so yeah, that's when I would wash my hair. It's just as needed. And so probably between once a month or once every 2 months is when I wash my hair, depending on what the need was and what was going on that month or that week or whatever the case may be, or that day. But I didn't have a set schedule. But I did see a difference. I did see a difference in how the rate of growth of my hair versus the times in years before. I do feel like, and I could be off, but I feel like there hasn't been much growth from year 6 and year 7. When I look at some pictures from when I turned 6 years up until now, and I'll probably post a difference, picture in the video. I didn't see much growth. I'm just judging by the front. Even given the fact that some tips had to come off, that's not all my tips. Some of these are still original tips, and they're still kind of in the same position they were before. And so I'm wondering if it has something to do with how often I wash my hair or moisturize my scalp. That's something also that I didn't do as much in year 6, is make sure I stay on a regimen of moisturizing my scalp with oils and stuff like that, like the olive oil. Even though I still use it, I didn't use it as much as I used to in previous years. So that could have something to do with it, because I do know that you need to have healthy pores. Those pores have to open up. That scalp has to be healthy and straight for it to open up and allow that growth. And so I'm thinking that could be, may not be the case, but something I'm thinking. That was a difference that I did notice from year 6 to year 7. So in order to see if that is the case, in year 7, I'm gonna start going back to my regimen that I was before, and to see if there's a difference, to see if there's more of a rate of growth and everything else, just to test it. And so we'll see in a year. I'll probably give it like a 6-month trial and see where we are, and then see another 6 months and go from there. But we'll see. When these locks are getting tangled into each other, I mean, they're not gonna grow like twisted dreads would grow. And they grow differently. Doesn't mean they're not growing. It's just that they're so natted, and nappy, that you just don't see the growth as much as you would if they were fresh twisted locks. And so, yeah. So that's where we are. Um, every now and again, I wear some lock jewelry. Every now and again, but not often. It depends on how I'm feeling. Depends on my mood. I don't sleep with anything on my locks. I don't sleep with a cap or anything like that. Every night, well, I used to, sparingly. If I'm thinking about it, I put it on. But most times I'm going to bed, I'm either tying them up, like putting them up or whatever, and tying them. Then I lay down. And don't have no satin pillowcases and none of that kind of stuff like that. Just regular. So every now and again, I'll see some lint, and I'll pull it off, whatever, without messing up my locks, and go from there. Yeah. So that's it. And I hope you found this helpful. I hope this suffices for an update on the locks for a lock care video. I do hope it does. And next time I'll be back to discuss anything else concerning these locks, or another topic that I feel like I want to discuss on the channel. If you guys want to know more about these locks, if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. And we can go from there, guys. I don't claim to be an expert when it comes to locks. This was a way for me to document this journey. From the time that I started to now, I am pleased with my locks. I love my locks. I do get compliments here and there. Not that I live for the compliments, but it's nice every now and again somebody notices that they're nice, even though they're not the traditional way people like to wear their locks nowadays. Hey, it's nice, and I'm pleased with them because they're unique. There's no way that I ever be able to do this again. There's no way that I can recreate this look again. And yeah, I'm limited in the type of styles I can do with these locks like this. I am very limited, but I don't have a problem with that. I've been through the phase when I've had locks and I've done styles with them and all that, and braided them and all that. So I've been through that. This time was more about simplicity and just having locks. I just wanted locks, and I got them, and they've been good. I got my mane, got my mane, lion. Yeah, love him, love him, love him. Feel good with him. So that's nothing to it keep me from wanting to twist them, because I'm not gonna get this again. Not gonna ever have this again. You can recreate twisted locks in a certain style and form and all that kind of stuff, and you parting them and everything else. You can make them look the same, but when they're like this, you can't get this. You can't create that. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Remember, I am JB, and still, Jesus is the way. Until next time, peace out.